In this video, we'll introduce the Animator controller, a vital part of bringing any game to life and creating state machines for animations. To create an Animator controller, right-click in the project window and choose Create and Animator controller. In this group, there's different objects available: the Animator controller, Animation, Animator override controller, and Avatar mask. The Animator controller is what will control the animations, allowing us to arrange and maintain multiple animations for a character. Animations then are different, as we've seen in Chapter 9. They actually describe in keyframes the animation of an object. We'll get to Animator override controllers later, when we start to override what an Animator controller is doing on a particular character. And an Avatar mask is something we'll use in a humanoid rig, and again is outside of the scope of this courseware. I'll create an Animator controller, and this gives me an Animator controller, recognizable by the icon, the triangle and 4 squares denoting a state machine. To access the Animator window then, either double-click on an Animator controller or choose Window and Animator. When we create an Animator controller, it starts out with 2 default states, Entry and an Any state. The Any state can be transitioned to from any state, meaning that any animation can transition to an Any state. We might see the Any state on a death animation, where from any animation or any state in our state machine, we can die in the course of a game. I'll take a look at an Animator controller that comes with this project, looking in the Animations folder under Assets, and there's a Boy Animator controller and a Girl Animator controller override. I'll double-click on the Boy Animator controller. In here, we see our state machine. I'll hold Alt and the left mouse to pan over, and we can see that I've got an idle state, marked in orange as the default state, an entry state, move with transitions between, an any state, and death, meaning that we can transition to the any state which leads us to death at any point in the game. And finally, there's exit. An Animator controller allows us to transition between multiple clips, and you should recognize these named clips from that boy character. There's idle and move, and other characters may have more clips on them that we'll use. I've browsed into the Assets, Models, Characters folder, and here's our boy model. To place an Animator controller on an object, simply drag it on from the project window. I'll pull the boy into my scene, and then in the scene, press F to frame in on that selection, and I'll drag in an Animator controller. By default, when we bring an object into the hierarchy, into the scene, we get an Animator component added on. But as we can see here, this controller says none. There's no Animator controller on it. To place that Animator controller on, go into the Animations folder and take the Boy Animator controller and drag it from the project window onto the object in the inspector. Alternately, you can drag this Animator controller onto that object here in the hierarchy. Now we see our Boy Animator controller is linked in the Animator component on that game object, and it's ready for additional hooks and programming to bring it to life, using our parameters and other conditions here in our Animator window to transition between various states, bringing our boy to life in his different animations.